In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about solving equations that have radicals in them, radical signs. And also, I'm going to talk about extraneous solutions, but I'll talk about that at the end. So this is a radical sign. Well, you know, when you're doing equations, to get rid of a plus, you do minus. To get rid of multiplication, you do division. Well, to get rid of radicals, you square. All right, so let me show you what I'm talking about. If you have a radical sign like this, to get rid of it, you put a parentheses around it and square it. And when you do that, everything goes away except whatever was on the inside of that radical sign. All right. All right, so here's a problem, and we need to solve it, and you can see that there is a radical sign. There's a radical sign in there. All right, so to get rid of that radical sign, I'm going to put a parentheses around the whole thing, and I'm going to square it. But because I do it to the right side, I have to do the whole thing to the left side. So you put a parentheses around the entire, whatever's on the left side. Right now, it's just one thing. But if it was x plus 2 or something, you'd put it around the whole thing. All right? I just want to make sure you understand that. All right. Now, when I do this, watch if I can do this carefully. This all goes away. Everything goes away except what was in that radical sign. All right, so now I have x squared equals 5x plus 6. Well, how do I solve that thing? Well, to solve it, I want you to factor it. And before you factor it, you're going to have to move the 5x over. So it's going to be minus 5x, and then you're going to move the 6 over. So it will be minus 6. So now we have x squared minus 5x minus 6. Okay? Now we're going to factor that. I'm just going to erase some stuff to give myself a little room here. All right, so when I factor this, I'm going to have, just a minute, guys. Let me just do this so you can see better. All right, I'm going to factor this, and I'm going to have x minus 6 and x plus 1. When I multiply those together, I'll get that negative 5x in the middle. Now, but that's not my solution. My solution then, I have to say x minus 6 equals 0 and x plus 1 equals 0. And when I solve this, I get x equals 6. And then when I solve this one, minus 1, x equals negative 1. Well, now when I go back to my original equation, which was x equals radical 5x plus 6, one of these answers will not work because I can never have a negative answer under the radical sign. So x cannot equal negative 1. That is an extraneous solution. But x can equal 6. So if I put this here, watch. Instead of saying x, I'm going to say 6. 6 equals radical 5 times 6 plus 6. Well, when I solve that, watch this. 6 equals, 6 times 5 is 30, plus 6, all under the radical sign. 6 equals radical 36. Well, doesn't radical 36 equal 6? And 6 does equal 6. But if I were to plug that negative 1 back in there, it wouldn't work. All right, let me give you one more problem like this. All right, here we have x minus 2 equals radical 32 minus x. Okay, I want to get rid of the radical sign, so I square this side, and I square this whole side, not just the x, but the whole thing. All right, I'm going to multiply this out on this left side. X minus 4, x squared minus 4x plus 2 equals 32 minus x. Because when I square this side, remember, all of this goes away. All of that goes away. All right, now I'm going to, once again, I'm going to bring both of these things over to this side. So I'm going to go, guys, I apologize. This is not plus 2. It's plus 4. All right, so I'm going to bring both of these things over, minus 32 and plus x. So plus x here and minus 32. And when I do that, I have x squared minus 3x minus 28. All right, now the factors of negative 28 are 7 and 4, but the big guy has to be negative because I have a negative 3. So my answer will be x minus 7 and x plus 3. Now, when I bring these two numbers out of their parentheses, this becomes positive 7, this becomes negative 3. So again, positive 7 is correct, negative 3 is not.